Alright guys, so I imagine you've watched the first video that I had on the CV carb. Okay, that's a very fundamental basic understanding of how to sync carbs with the gauge set. So I'm going to break down into two more videos, one for a specific type of carburetor, one for another specific type of carburetor. Alright, we're going to be talking about the Keyhole, quote unquote, style carb. I call it the Keyhole because it looks like a keyhole on the top of these, okay? Something like that. Alright, so these, from the research that I've done, were used post 77. So 77 and up on the CB750s and those style bikes after 77. 76 they were using a different set. So just so you guys can get understanding that, of course, they're not always going to be the same for each carburetor set, but hopefully this will make sense. So on the CV, you adjusted them out in front. They were like an exterior adjustment. So on these, it's the same fundamental that you have a base carburetor, which is usually number 2, or what is adjacent to the idle screw, or your main idle screw, which on this one is so. Just to go over the basics, you have your main idle. Okay, this increases RPM range over all 4 carbs at once, right there. Okay, but you can make individual adjustments on 1, 3, and 4. Okay, number 2 is a base carb setting. Make sure you have a manual if you're really going to get into carb syncing the bike. Some are different, some have none. Alright, but this one has a base setting, so you base everything off of that number 2 carb. Alright, and your adjustments are made up top. So these are mechanical slide carbs. Alright, so what you're adjusting is the actual cylinders inside of the throat. Alright, you're raising and lowering that entire piston itself. Instead of on the CV, you're just adjusting the throttle body, which is right here. But on this of course is the choke on here, so it's important to kind of realize that. But your adjustments are right here. Alright, you got a little 10mm adjusting lock nut, and then you have the flathead screw on top. So you can get a wrench out, crack it open, and make adjustments like that, or you can get some kind of special tool. Okay, from Honda I have something kind of like this. The flathead screw is built inside. These work great. They have a little handle, you can crack it loose and make your adjustment. They also sell longer ones. This is from Motion Pro. Okay, I'll put some links down there for you in case you want to get one. This is a removable rod. These are not very strong, so don't go ahead and start using this as your main flathead screwdriver. They're not built very well as far as using them on an everyday use. But if you're just using them for the application they're applied for, they work amazing. Alright, so on these carburetors in particular, what I like to do is I like to go ahead and loosen up all the lock nuts on them. Alright, so I'll loosen them up, just crack it loose and then tighten it again. Not really tight, but just snug on all of them. Then when you're going to make your adjustment, it makes it so much easier to crack it loose without making some big fluctuation in your gauges, and you can make your adjustment and just kind of very lightly snug it back up again. Do that for each one until you bring all 4 into the same line, or all 3 into the same line as number 2. Okay, it's done exactly the same way with the vacuum lines, all that stuff. I just want to point out the differences. Okay, so these adjustments are made up top. Okay, Keyhole carbs, again, same principle as the video up above, and you can use tools like what I have to make the job just a little bit easier. Okay.